Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make use of loot tables in a data pack. Just before we begin, please make sure to like and subscribe as it really helps me out a ton. And without further ado, let's get started. So, what can you do with a loot table? Now, as we may all know that loot table can be used to create a chest, and when you open it, it'll just generate some random loot, which will be different every time I spawn a chest. But what else can it do? A loot table can actually also be used to change mob drop. So, for example here, chickens now drop something else. So if I kill one, it drops diamond. And just like that, I can customize the loot drop of a mob using Datapack to whatever I want. So what are the basic commands for using loot tables? So over here, I have a command block, which when I press the button, will just simply spawn some loot, spawn the loot table right above. So let's take a look. The command is actually pretty simple. Over here, we have loot, spawn, and then a coordinate or location, and the loot followed by the name of the loot, which I just call junk loot for now. This will also be included in the data pack, which you can download in the description. So that's pretty simple, just put that in, put it somewhere, and if you activate it, it'll just spawn in a bunch of loot which the player can pick up. Over here is the one we saw the chest spawn, and in here we can find all the stuff. So let's see what it is. Now this one is a little longer. Over here we first have a set block, and then of course we have a location, then the chest. It doesn't have to be a chest, it can be a barrel and other inventory like that. In here we have loot table with capital L and capital T, then colon followed by a speech mark, and inside the speech mark is our loot table within our data pack. So with that we can just click the button, spawn a chest, and we'll get the loot. Finally here we have another one. This one will give us the chest, and this chest is special. It has an MBT, so whenever I put this, it will spawn loot everywhere. So it will be useful when you're building a map and then you can just place down the chest yourself. When giving yourself a chest that has the loot table included, here is the command. First you give yourself a chest, then followed by a square bracket, and the main important bit is we're gonna put the component of container loot. After container loot, we wanna have a big bracket followed by loot table, this time all lowercase, and we have a underscore between the loot and the table. Then we have a colon, and once again we have a speech mark inside with our location of our loot table inside our data pack. And that will give you the chest which you can use. Now let's go and take a look on how we can actually generate the loot table and put it in the data pack. Using the link in the description, you can come to miso.github.io/loot table, which is a loot table generator that can help you generate the loot. Now here you want to make sure you select the right version. For this tutorial we're doing 1.21.4. On the right here we have a chest inventory, which will basically give you a preview of what your loot table will give you. Here we have a couple of things. Firstly we have type. Now these are basically to specify what kind of loot table it is. If you know for a fact that it's going to be a chest, then you can select as a chest or other things. But if you're unsure, then you can just simply keep it as unset for now. Next we want to click on the add button next to the pool, and this will add a pool. Inside the pool here, we have roles, bonus roles, entries, function, and conditions. Now it's very important to note that whenever you click pool, the default role is going to be 0, which means it won't roll anything. So make sure to change that, or it will seem like your loot table simply just failed. This means how many times Minecraft is going to pull from a loot pool. What you can imagine this is, all the items inside this pool will be placed inside a basket, and the roles specify how many times Minecraft is going to reach into that basket and take an item out. Now we can simply set it as a float, and we can set it like 3 or something. But if we want it to be a bit more diverse in our loot pool, it's good to try and use objects, and a simple one to use will be uniform. And here we can just set a minimum and a maximum. So for example, it'll roll at least twice, but it can also roll up to 4 times. So there can be different amount of loot according to each time. Over here we have bonus rolls. This one is not required. It is mainly to do with when you have the potion effect, luck, where you'll get extra rolls for your chest. But usually you don't need it, so for this time I'll leave it as unset. Now we want to put in our item into our basket, which Minecraft can pull from. So here we want to click on entry. Each entry is a thing that Minecraft can pull from. So over here we can see type, and we have quite a few. The basic one will be items, so you just simply pull an item out. But you can also pull from another loot table, so you can have a loot table within a loot table. This is mostly used when you have, for example, a chest for a specific structure or something. Inside the chest you want like different tiers of items. So when that happens, you'll probably make a couple of loot tables. For example, you have your junk loot, just like the one we see in game. Then you will have like some valuable loot that you will spawn inside the chest, such as iron, gold, diamonds, stuff like that. And then you can also have another pool, which is the structure specific items. So for example, inside a desert pyramid, you can find sand in the chest. While if you go to a pillage outpost, you can find crossbows and stuff like that. If you have like generic global loot table, and then you can combine them with your specific structure loot table, you can make a loot table reusable, which can reduce the work you need to do. So here, we're just going to do item. Now after we click item here, we have a couple of fields. Firstly, we have name. Name is just the item name, so for this example, I'm just gonna do iron ingots. So we're gonna have iron ingot. And then we have weight and quality. Weight is used to tell Minecraft what the ratio of your item is, so how often it's going to be pulled. If you leave them blank, then by default every single item will be 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, so they'll all have an equal chance. But if I put a higher number here compared to another item down below, then this item will be more likely to be pulled. Now for this one, iron ingot, I'm going to put 4 over here. Quality isn't really that important at all, so don't stress that. And down here, functions and conditions. Functions have quite a few things you can do. Now, most notably, we have set count. This one just simply means we can control how many items is in each pool. So we can say 3 items. On the right here, it pulled 4 times because it's the maximum, times the 3 ingot from each time. So we have 12 iron ingot on the right. Now this again is kind of set, and you probably want your loot table to be a bit more dynamic. So what I usually do is again choose objects, and then uniform, a minimum and a maximum. So we can say minimum is 1 and maximum is 3. So each time we open a chest, it's going to have different amounts of iron. Other than set count, we also have some other stuff here. We can, for example, if it's a special tool, we can enchant them. We can also set components, which can allow you to modify the item in depth. But for now, we'll keep this out and we won't do another one just to keep things simple. Down here we have conditions. Conditions simply is a bunch of things you can check for and basically add more variety to it. It's a little bit like a predicate that basically allows you to filter things. But for now we won't really touch on this because a simple chest loot table really don't need any much conditions. So just to make it as an example, down here this time I'm gonna choose loot table here. And for the loot table, we're going to put our own loot table in, which is our junk loot. So we're gonna do tutorial data pack junk loot. Now it won't show here because the generator doesn't know we have a custom loot table, but it'll be fine. Here we want to put the weight as 1. From this we can see the weight of iron is 4 and the weight of our junk is 1. This means that for every 5 times this loot table is pulled, 4 out of the 5 times it will most likely be iron, and 1 of the 5 chances is going to be junk. So 20% of the chance is junk, 80% iron. And here we can keep everything pretty simple. And that's basically how you make a very simple loot table here. So let's just copy this and put it into our code. Once you're inside our code here, you can see that I've actually done quite a few things here. So from before we can see that we have a loot table that replaces the chicken. But we'll get back to this in a bit. Firstly, we're gonna go to our own data pack, which is under tutorial data pack, loot table, and in here we can see our junk loot here. So we just want to right click, new file, and we'll just call this tutorial loot.json. And we can just paste in our code here. And you can see here that this one here should be able to reference back to our junk loot over here, which is another one I've set up. You can take a look at it once you've downloaded the data pack. Back to the one where I talked about being able to replace loot tables of other things. Here we have under Minecraft, we want to put loot table, and inside loot table we want to put entity with an S, entities. And here we want to put chicken, which is the exact name, same as Minecraft. You must make sure all of these are exactly the same to the way Minecraft named it. And once you put in chicken, you can just put it in whatever the hell you want to put in here. So inside our chicken loot pool, I've changed it so that the chicken will either drop a diamond or an emerald. Now, in the showcase earlier, I think we got pretty unlucky because we didn't get a single emerald at all, but it does appear. And that's how you replace another entity. So now let's go into the game and see how it works. Once you're back into the game, just reload and your new loot table should now be included in your world. So let's just change this one in here, for example, and instead of junk loot we now have tutorial loot. So if we press the button, this time we got iron, and this time we got a little bit of iron as well as some junk loot, because it can roll multiple times, which means it rolled some iron and some junk loot. So yeah, and that is just how you do it. I can also put this in a chest. So tutorial and done. And there we go. Iron and a bit of cobble. And I can also do this to the one I give myself. So tutorial loot. And in here I can basically access all the stuff that I can get. Oh, oops. So yeah, and that is how you make a basic loot table. You just get cool chests, and you can also replace them for different mobs. With that, that will do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and learned a bit more on how loot table can be used in Minecraft. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye now.